Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Another wonderful Wednesday's edition of Talk Today as we invite you to share openly, candidly, from your considered perspective, and if it may just be an opinion that you want to garner others' perspective, well, it's open line 949-8837, toll free with the kind compliments of flow at 1-800-534-8255. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Good afternoon, welcome back. Wednesday. Some look at it as the middle of the week, others it's the first day. For many, it's just another day ending away if you subscribe to the English language. But it is a day to reflect, to look forward, as it were, as to what is promised and what is the potential. So what is on your card? Many of us are willing to listen increasingly to those who are sharing, but are we willing to question? Are we willing to champion? Are we willing to stand in the gap and look and see that those in positions of leadership, whether elected or appointed or anointed, whether they are good, leaders? Friends shared, that leadership is, that thing which you inspire others to greatness, and in this absence, it's missed. Now, for some of us, we lead by sending the troops to battle, and we stay in the confines of our glass houses, boardrooms, or other solitary places where we feel a sense of security, not having to worry about the risk that many will face. So, do we have leadership across the globe? And in particular, you may look just at the region or in your own communities, within our own, three islands: the political, the economic, the social, and the ecclesiastical. 949-8037, 949-6990, or 1-800-534-8255, and share with us. I'm always intrigued by the willingness of some people to share, not only publicly, but in spaces where they may not always feel a sense of security. Take, for instance, if you are amongst close friends, or if you are in the confines of your board of directors or your household, and you say, well, we're thinking about this, but what about that? And you share in candidly with the view that what you share would be respected in the confines of the confidential space, not just privileged and protected by the profession, but an objective to come to something meaningful. And many times that is betrayed, the lack of honesty and integrity and trust that should be almost accepted and taken for granted because of this space. It's why when we hear about certain relations going sour, we appreciate it's the breakdown in the confidence, the trust. But why we understand the integrity of certain things, why they exist. And the sort of political realm, we talk about national security and the importance of keeping information restricted, and that's generally accepted in democracies or in governance in general. Why we expect and accept that in policing and investigations, they should be able to conduct an investigation, whether it leads to charges or arrests or prosecution or otherwise. They need to be able to have that confidence that the people who are conducting the investigations, who are making inquiries, are able to do so with a sense of confidence that what they share, what they uncover, will remain in the space. Not unlike a company that is considering a product launch or expanding into a market. It's hired its consultants, it has its top, appointed employees looking at the particular project and figuring out how best to move forward. Now, we would appreciate that just like there's espionage and amongst governments relative to its activities, there are trade secrets that are being protected in practices, and they're corporate espionage. That's why we've seen increasingly some governments sanctioning some companies for allowing its technologies to be misused, some would say abused. Now, how does that relate to the Cayman context? Well, you tell me. Do we exist in a vacuum? Is it that we're immune for what's happening globally? Well, maybe we are. Or maybe we're just laboring on the misunderstanding. We have our heads buried in the sand. And of equal importance, are we willing to look at the experience of our people, our seafarers, and ask their opinions, or serving parliamentarians, and what is it that they've experienced? Those who have since either retired from that arena or have not been successful at the last election cycle, or just the experiences of our people in the workplace, in the communities, as they volunteer through their churches or other community groups. What are they seeing firsthand? Take, for instance, we may not have made time, we may not feel that we had the time to drive across certain parts of our district or just the island in general to see the physical changes, but also maybe the social changes. Are we avoiding certain areas because either the media or personal experiences or that relayed by friends, family, co-workers over there, you got to be careful. You can't venture there. Not just, after a certain time of day. And if those are the things that are happening, even the perception that it is happening could not only affect our quality of life, which is very significant none of the times, sort of dismiss. But what about what it does later on? First it's this area, then it's that area. And before long, it's all areas except here, but not there. And I should have to say that late last evening, a number of sort of young adults were sharing their perspectives relative to what they see the future Cayman looking like. And I'll be intrigued to hear from our callers what they think that is. Is that one where this group of young people see hope and prosperity, safety and security? Is it one where they're considering that the Cayman that could come about is not a Cayman that not only do they not recognize, but it's not a Cayman that they want to be a part of? And for some, they've already made plans to be elsewhere. Now, is that a good thing? Is it just the cost of the country as a result of the brain drain? Or is it that as they leave, not only are they making their own lives potentially better elsewhere, and that country benefiting from these people's contributions, their enthusiasm, their intellect, their integrity? But is it that then the Cayman that we want is no longer the Cayman that we'll have, and the sacrifices of our parents and grandparents and even us who would have left believing that there was a future would have been all for naught? Well, give me your perspective. 949-8037, 1-800-534-8255, or WhatsApp. You can call or you can message at 925-3261. Now, in that discussion last evening, the comment by one individual, which was echoed by two others, was that we talk a lot, and the concern is that we're just talking. It's falling on deaf ears, and more importantly, that talk isn't being backed by action. But another chimed in and said, but sometimes we think that action has to be a negative action, or that the action will be perceived as such. As an example, the person expounded by sharing, if you get just in that group, two or the vast majority or the entire number were to write a letter into the open domain and author it and say, listen, these are our concerns. Or if they were to physically assemble with placards and the like in front of public space, whether it was the LA building, the courts, the glass house, or just the town center and say, listen, we don't want this, we stand for this, how would they be perceived? Would they be championed, or would they be ostracized? Would they be complimented, or would they be criticized? And their belief is that, well, it wouldn't be necessarily welcome. All right, let's see if the phone lines are working. Let's see if you're in the same thought process. Maybe you're in for a joke more than you are in for a job. At the end of the day, time will pass, and if we're not part of it, it'll pass us by. Join me after the break.
How can you make a classic BLT sandwich even better? Well, by adding tuna. Wow. The land meets the sea in Subway's new sandwich, the Tuna BLT, available for a limited time. The Tuna BLT is exploding with flavor. Imagine crispy, juicy bacon strips on top of tuna, fresh lettuce, and slices of tomato, topped with your favorite sauce and choice of freshly baked bread. Enjoy the best of both worlds with the Tuna BLT from Subway. Subway, eat fresh.
Where is that number again? Aha! Here it is. 945-2290.
Hello, welcome to Chicken Country Corner, Savannah. How may I help you?
Oh, hi. A friend of mine told me that you have a special on Tuesdays and Wednesdays on your award-winning Caribbean wood roasted chicken. Is that right?
Yes, ma'am. On Tuesdays and Wednesdays from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m., you can buy a breast and wing dinner and get another one for half price.
Hey, that's an awesome deal. I'm coming right over to Chicken.
Buy a breast and wing dinner and get one half off is on. Only at the Chicken Savannah location. Call 945-2290. That's 945-2290.
Your dream home starts with a vision, and often inspiration is at the heart of that vision. Brand Source Home Gallery's in-house designers are here to help bring your vision to life. Whether you are remodeling or building a new home, Brand Source Home Gallery is your one-stop solution. Explore their kitchen cabinets, sinks, faucets, bath fixtures, tubs, vanities, and more. Let Brand Source's designers help and inspire you with your next project. Call 623-5000 and schedule an appointment with a design expert at Brand Source Home Gallery, Dorsey Drive, Industrial Park, serving Cayman for 50 years.
She hear clunk and her car stop. I was just about to send her some money, so I send it straight to her JN Money Transfer card. It cost me less, and perhaps she use the card, pay the garage right away. She'll get discount through the JN Rewards program in Jamaica. This card make things easy. You can even get funds at any multi-link ATM.
JN Money Transfer Card. Fast, affordable, convenient. Tell your loved ones in Jamaica about it. Sign up is free.
Hey, is your phone slow, overheating, and dropping important calls? Don't fret. This summer, it's time to flip out with Digicel. Introducing the all-new Samsung Flip 4 with its sleek design and cutting-edge features. You'll flip into the summer in style and confidence. This summer, you can grab the all-new Samsung Flip 4, all just for $145. Flip into the summer with Digicel. Visit a Digicel store near you and grab the all-new Samsung Flip 4 and the amazing 7-day Prime Ultra plan today.
I think I'm gonna search the town and get lost with a girl who can fill me right up with her charm.
Friends of Jamich presents a fundraising beach barbecue on Wednesday, July 26th at Coral Beach. Live music by J.R. Douglas,
Tropical Days,
High Tide,
Musical Crew,
DJ Alec, Mixmaster,
DJ Martino.
Gates open at 4 p.m. till 11 p.m. 2 for 1 happy hour, 4 p.m. to 7 p.m.
Proudly sponsored by
The Caymanian Times, Monster Media, Radio Cayman, Young Blood Production, Coral Beach.
Part proceeds in aid of Jamich Cancer Recovery.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. It's open line 949-8837 1-800-534-8255. It's wonderful Wednesday's edition of Talk Today. We invite you to share your thoughts with us. And as we were just sharing through the break, it's interesting that we increasingly are willing to maybe speak to things, but sometimes not even publicly when we do. As a caller just the other day shared, we talk, but are we doing anything? So in the discussion last evening with these young adults, they are concerned that perhaps there isn't a sufficient, and deliberate attempt to look at what's happening within the country relative to its changing facade, the society's face and flavor, the economics of its people, its ability to meet ends meet, the challenges of so many to, pay their bills, not just because the rise in costs, but the prospect of decreased wages. And for some, the answer is, well, give people more money by raising their salaries. And as one of the young ladies in the group shared, on the face of it, that sounds like a good answer, but then how is that increased cost being offset? The businesses, whether it's a government or a private sector, in order to pay for that increased wage bill, has to raise prices, which would mean that your costs at checkout, when you go to the cashier and make your purchases, whether it's in supermarkets or other places, whether you're paying for services like insurance, whether for house or home or likewise, if those costs are increasing, then that means that the money that you have had, as a result of the wage increase may actually, be less. And what if some of those costs aren't dictated just by the increased costs here, but the suppliers, the external providers, because they have increased their prices to you, and you now have increased your prices to your consumer locally. How do we address that? Well, one of the individuals shared, and I'll say that because I've heard it, I won't repeat it the way she says it, because apparently, she's in her group anyway, a little bit more known for wording it that way. But as my parents have said, $1 saved is $1 earned. And it's better if you have more money to spend because you have less expenses than if you have more money to spend because you've got, a salary increase. Now, I don't know necessarily that I've interpreted and understood that correctly, but if I haven't, guide me. But the reason, as my parents put it, is that, with your money now being more because your expenses are less, and that item that you used to pay $1 for is now 50 cents. You have an extra, 50 cents. And you have not increased the overall cost, the quote unquote, the inflation. As arbitrary as that may sound, as real as the impact is to you when you have less money to spend because your costs have gone up. It isn't necessarily because your consumption has increased. So take electricity. If your bill was $100 and now it's $200, but because instead of you being in your home with air conditioning on, for 5 days, you're in there every day, or your air conditioning is no longer set at 75 or 80 or whatever is comfortable. You got to set at 20 or 30, and that's Fahrenheit, not Celsius. All right. You might expect that it is going to cost more because you're consuming more, but that's different than when you believe, and maybe somehow you verified that you are spending, less because you're consuming less. Well, that's fine. But if you think you're consuming less and you're spending more, what does that mean? Now, how does that translate? As I listened to the group last evening, for a government when it demands from its citizens, and not only the registered voter, but sometimes the people in the community, they want better and more roads. They believe the government should provide increased services. Perhaps the payments that government would make on behalf of its citizens, not just for policing and education and healthcare, but for other things, housing assistance and subsidizing different things. If those are being increased, then perhaps the government has to. But what if it's being driven, artificially by politicians in order to, as has been alleged many times, not just here but in other jurisdictions, trying to influence the vote by the vote, to say, look, politician A is doing this, and without the, politician A, you won't get this. Let's take this call. Hey, welcome. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Hello, good afternoon, Sterling. How are you doing?
Excellent, man. How are you?
Pretty good, man. Just listening in on the tail end of your conversation. Sounds like you had a very interesting conversation last evening.
I hope that it's okay to share with you, right? As I was listening to this group, I didn't say it because I didn't want to speak at a turn, but much of what they were saying, you came to mind in a number of the comments. And I thought, wow, So for me, it's a compliment. I hope I it's received the same way.
No, definitely no problem, man. I was listening because there are a lot of concerns, obviously, amongst our young people.
Yep.
And for me, one of the most concerning ones are the ones that are abroad now, getting tertiary education, and having an opportunity to see Cayman from a distance.
Yes.
Have an opportunity to see and live in a different environment while seeing the issues that we face in Cayman, and then it's an opportunity for them to also measure, what sort of success they would have if they return back home versus exploring something different.
Yeah,
they are now experiencing, right? So,
right.
For me, it's a little disheartening because we have not, and I'm not just talking about this government or this group of people. I'm talking about for a very long time. We have not prioritized reinvesting in our people. We think that increasing scholarship funds or increasing social programs and increasing NAU's, financial capabilities and different things is a way of reinvesting in our people, but it's not. It's a small portion of being able to try to help our people, but the greatest issue that we face is how the institutions are designed and how the regulations and the things that are in place that creates those hindrances from Caymanians' participation on the highest level.
Mm-hmm.
So we can send as many children away as we can afford to get them all educated and bring them back. But if we have done nothing to address the system in which they have to come back to face, then it would be just as bad as creating a elitist society.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody got degrees but nowhere to go, right?
Yep.
And we know that this is an ongoing issue. One of the things you said that the group talked about was cost of living and minimum wage and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Raising the minimum wage to whatever amount they desire is not going to fix the issue that we have a high cost of living.
Yep.
So I think that most governments, not just this government, most governments have put their abilities only prioritize what is the most tangible thing that they can do to get reelected, as opposed to the most sustainable thing they can do that'll be something that lasts for 50 to 100 years. There's no real future planning and things that are being implemented that go beyond 4 years, and that's the unfortunate side of things, right?
Sadly.
So when I look at this most recent program that the government is introducing to help retrofit people's homes to reduce their cost of energy burn, because they feel as if that's one of the problems. That's not the problem, Sterling, and to the listening public, that is not the problem. One of the major problems is people just can't afford it because of the cost of living,
mm-hmm.
right? And secondly, this program is geared towards people who have air conditions, because at the end of the day, one of the largest portion of your bill is a fuel factor, right? So, you're trying your best to reduce your kilowatt burn, which is your energy footprint. But that being said, that's just an example of some of the things that are being focused on, as opposed to the bigger picture where we can say, okay, maybe we need to try to bring down the cost of living as opposed to only focusing on the increases of minimum wage. Do we need an increase of minimum wage? Absolutely. Will it come at a price? Again, absolutely, because minimum wage increase is going to then increase the product that minimum wages provides. People who work in the supermarkets, people who work in all the industries, in the institutions, that's going to raise the cost of their goods in order to compensate the minimum wage requirements. So it's not going to really be a magic wand or a silver bullet per se. It's just going to be something that's going to add to the problem, because they haven't focused on the problem itself, which is the cost of living. So, fuel factor plays a role in every single consumable we have on this island. Why? We have to ship in everything. Everything comes by either plane or sea freight, which uses fuel, which has a fuel factor. Then we have then we have institutions who are allowed to regulate themselves, create their own policy, and write their own pathway, and we sit back and we just take it. So government haven't really done anything that prioritizes reinvesting in their people. They put on a good show to pretend that that's what they do, but no one has have really ever done it. So I feel it for the young people that are having these conversations, and I'm so happy that they are aware of these things, because hopefully some of them will be encouraged or motivated to try to get into the system in order to try to make the necessary change that's needed. Now, I know it's hard to try to convince someone to get into politics, because politics is such a slippery slope in terms of, well, you get in, you think you can make a difference, and then you realize you're not part of the elected cabinet, and then you can't get nothing done. I mean, we saw that happen with Winston Conley, right? So he was a great example of having great ideas, great initiatives, good motivation. Then he got in, and they backseated him and say, oh, we're gonna chase our agenda before we even look at yours. Whether what he wanted to do was good or bad, he got put in the back seat of the bus. So, but anyway, good conversation.
Yeah, man.
Always good to have open mic, and I like to hear when you have conversations with the younger people. It's very inspiring, knowing that they having the conversation and that they are aware of some of the issues.
Well, I appreciate not only listening, but calling in and sharing. If you have a second, I just wanted to share with you.
Sure.
As you were talking, someone messaged, and they were commenting, paraphrasing, the concern that this person expressed is that if, and they put it in capital bold, if the young people are actually feeling and saying and sharing this, and we're not listening, it isn't that they're going to just leave the country physically, but they're going to leave the country in a space where the country suffers because we are no longer able to access and tap into whatever they would bring to better the country, all right? And the person is asking, are we creating an us versus them? And then they quickly said, well, it's not us Caymanian versus them non-Caymanian. It's just us and them, those who see and are trying to do better versus them who are just ignoring it and hoping that it falls by. The reference being made to some public displays of behaviors that perhaps speak to a growing mindset that we can just do what we want publicly, whether urinate in public, whether throw our garbage just wherever we want, and degrade, devalue, disrespect the whole space. Do you think that that's happening because people have become apathetic? Are they trying to cry out, sign a protest? I'm curious, and I say that based on something that was shared last evening, but what is your thought?
Well, my thought certainly is that because we have solely depended on revenue generated from the institution that have to embellish and encourage and increase the number of people, let's say for work permits, for instance. We know that work permit fees make up a large part of our GDP. We know that driver's licensing fees make up a portion of our GDP. We know that duties on importation of cars make up a large portion of our GDP. Knowing that we're a service-based society and that we need these revenue streams in order to make up our GDP, because we haven't really focused on diversifying and creating other ways of generating money, as opposed to the things that are socially deteriorating the existence of the Caymanian brand and the existence of the Caymanians' participation. Because, as the person mentioned about urinating and throwing garbage, you don't see Caymanians on the side of the road urinating. You don't see Caymanians throwing garbage in the streets or leaving them on the beachside curb if we're eating food. You don't see Caymanians doing that. Now, do we have some Caymanians that litter or do something like that? We do, but they're not the noticeable people. It's not to the point where we're doing it in such a vast majority of us that we can say, oh, well, it's Caymanians. The problem is that because we have created all of these institutions to generate the revenue that we depend on every year for GDP, that we left on the curbside our moral upbringing and the focus on who we should be, on what we should look like moving forward with whatever legislation or law or institution we implement in the Cayman brand. And that's one of the reasons why Caymanians struggle to compete in the workforce or in the social environment, simply because it's an open door, red carpet service for everyone to come to Cayman and live the Caymanian dream, as opposed for the Caymanian being able to embrace any sector of it, because they have to compete vastly with the imported labor that is brought in here because of the demand for that institution. Now, when you have a situation, Sterling, and I want everybody to listen good to this. When you have a situation when a status holder, right?
Mm-hmm.
When a status holder who have a status piece of paper that say they have a status can apply for a job without having to go to immigration to prove that they're a Caymanian. But a Caymanian who has a birth certificate and a Cayman passport and maybe a voter's registration card applies for a job but still have to go to immigration to get a letter to say that they are Caymanian. Now, nobody can tell me that something not wrong or something not fundamentally wrong with that picture. Right? And that is a problem in this country, and that furthers the issue that we have with the placements of Caymanians or the participation of Caymanians. Now, I speak of this only because something just recently happened with my son, and he's supposed to start a job. Now, his mother's a Caymanian, I'm a Caymanian, and he has a Cayman birth certificate. He's a registered voter. He got a Cayman passport, but he can't start that job in the Cayman Islands until he show a piece of paper from the immigration department saying that he's a Caymanian. Can you imagine that? Now, the thing is that we've got so lost in translation of who we are as a people that now the shining institutions that are generating the revenue and employing most of the middle class is the piper that we pay and that we glamorize, and we say, oh, well, we can't do anything, Mario. We can't change policies now because these people will go away. And it's just not true. It's just something that is unfortunate that we have bought into this hook, line, and sinker, and our future generations are paying the price. And we're not doing anything because all the things that I see governments in the past have initiated are nothing to change the narrative. It's just nothing there. There's no real legislation for the Caymanian brand. There haven't been any implementation of any legislation in the last 50 years that represented Cayman brand first. Trust me.
Well, this is, as you're listening, listening to you, I'm looking at 3 comments that have come through, and maybe the easiest way to say it is that this one is saying that the Caymanian in Cayman is less valued, and they've inserted a couple of interesting word choices, right? So how do we get to a space where we are valuing our own? Really not sure what to do, man. It's
well, in essence of what I said with the whole identification of Cayman is that if a person that had a status applied for the same job my son applied for, they would not have to have required any other paperwork to get that job. That would have been enough and satisfactory to that company to hire them because the status say that you got status and you're a Caymanian. But a Caymanian birth certificate, 2 parents who are Caymanian, and a passport and registered voter, that's not enough to be a Caymanian. That's a problem. That's a problem, Sterling. That is a problem.
And I mean, if we're willing to continue to accept that, then what does that say for who we are?
Well, hold on. Okay, let me just end with this. Every sitting member of parliament who is duly elected and got sworn in on the steps of the Legislative Assembly knows that this is a problem. No, but not one of them have done anything to change it. But they passed a law in 1 week to mandate people to take vaccinations if you need a work permit. Yeah. So you telling me that they demonstrate that level of urgency to move on something that they thought personally or the global community thought, but yet you know that something is diminishing or hindering the Caymanian people and the Caymanian brand, but nobody has done anything about it. So what I tell you?
Where's the priority, right?
Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, man.
Have a good one, Sterling.
Hey, thank you. Thank you very much for that. All right. We got a quick break to take, I'm told, and we'll do that and join the callers. Please stay tuned.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. This summer, I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Yes, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, and now Panama. Going to be a little little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal this summer.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Yo, big up Massive. Summer is here and Digicel got the vibes flowing straight to Jamaica. That's right, me people. Digicel has a sizzling offer for you. Top up for your loved ones in a Jamaica and you get a chance to win the ultimate trip to the land of sun, sea and good vibes. To enter for the free trip to Jamaica, just send top up to your loved ones back home with Digicel and you automatically qualify. Remember, the more top up you send, the higher the chance you win. So make sure you don't miss out on the fun. Me people, get the summer vibes flowing with a top up for your loved ones with Digicel and get ready for a trip of a lifetime.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Barry's Golden Jerk, the Cayman Brac sensation, ranked the #1 restaurant in Cayman Brac by TripAdvisor and home of the authentic jerk. Barry's Golden Jerk, serving large portions of the best jerk chicken and pork. Open Wednesday, Friday, and Saturday near the airport, or call 917-6713. Barry's Golden Jerk. It's simply better.
Now, more than ever, supporting your immune system is crucial to helping your body fight off illnesses like the common cold, the flu, and COVID-19. At ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road and in Buttontown, we carry all the essential vitamins and minerals to help support your immune system and improve your overall health. Some of our top immunity support picks are vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc, elderberry, and quercetin, or the popular 7-in-1 immunity support. Our pharmacists are always on hand to help guide you and answer any questions. Visit ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road or Buttontown. Live happy, live healthy with ValueMed Pharmacy.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and it's open line. Let's take this call. Hey, good afternoon. Thanks for calling. Hello, good afternoon. Okay, sometimes that happens, you know. Message came in and says, good afternoon, Mr. Ebanks. I'd like to mention that I agree and support 100% the sentiments of your last caller. Thank you. Well, I say this mindful that I'm not here to backwater for this, but there are many who have shared, and it's sad because we champion in our society. We say we're a Christian society, we say we live in a democracy and the like, and yet the increasing concerns of many to say what they want to say publicly, such that they even, as was even shared last evening with the young people, they even become fearful of saying it, you know, privately. Perhaps one of the reasons why I was so honored that, you know, they would allow me to sit and, you know, as my friend would say, you know, they would sup, you know, and that's to fellowship, to dine, to break bread, and they shared. There was not only a candid conversation, it was from a considered perspective. There was not just a sense of confidence in what was shared, there was an appreciation that it would be shared in confidence, with the expectation that I would relay as best as I could some of the things without it having to come from John or Mary or Sue or Peter, just a collective voice. And it wasn't that what was said was like a song in unison. It was that this was an ongoing discussion. Now, as I said to them, by choice, I don't necessarily enjoy what you know, it's being termed social media. To me, it's not social at all, because, you know, if given a choice between being in person, talking on the telephone, or sending some electronic communication, I would rank it in that order. Let's have a a conversation in person. If not, well, maybe we can have it by telephone, whether even that's video. And if last resort, and probably the best resort if you want to document it, but send it in writing. But part of the challenge with that, how is it going to be interpreted? The tone, maybe you got to be mindful of your word choices, because then it's there, it can be played back. But in person, you can see what I'm saying. You can look in the whites of the eyes and hear the person's heart. So as these young people shared, it's obvious that they are worried about, expressions of national pride, and causing some to look at them as, unfortunately, a word that we like to use, xenophobic, when they say this is home, this is where they want to live. That's insufficient for some when they express that desire to not just want to get an education, whether that is an academic one overseas somewhere, whether it's through practical experience here or there or elsewhere, but to apply it to the benefit of the country. And when they question our immigration policies, the granting of PR and status and work permits, and the notion that as a Cayman Indian Cayman, they're relegated not just to the back burner, but they're not even in the room where the stove is. That is of concern. Well, let's see if we can discuss that and find a solution that does not lead to what has been, seemingly the consequence in many jurisdictions. Join me after the news.
You are listening to Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
The headline news is brought to you by Health Services Authority.
In your headlines, more than 130 new cemetery vaults were built in 2022. That according to Department of Environmental Health Director Richard Sims. The department has been working to increase the number of vaults available. There are a total of 132 adult and 43 child vaults across Grand Cayman. There are also 3 oversized vaults available. In international headlines, Russia unleashed intense drone and missile attacks overnight, damaging critical port infrastructure in southern Ukraine, including grain and oil terminals, and wounding at least 12 people. The bombardment crippled significant parts of export facilities in Odessa and destroyed 60,000 tons of grain, according to Ukraine's agriculture ministry. This comes just days after President Vladimir Putin pulled Russia out of its participation in the Black Sea Grain Initiative, a wartime deal that enabled Ukraine's exports to reach many countries facing the threat of hunger. High water rescue crews have been pulling people from flooded homes and vehicles in Kentucky, where waves of thunderstorms prompted flash flood warnings and watches. A search continued for 2 children who were swept away after torrential rains in the northeastern U.S. The National Weather Service issued flash flood watches and warnings, estimating that as much as 10 inches of rain could fall in the area where Kentucky, Illinois, and Missouri meet at the convergence of the Mississippi and Ohio rivers. The weather system will then move over the next 2 days over New England, where the ground remains saturated due to recent flooding. Atmospheric scientists say the global warming responsible for unrelenting heat in the Southwest is also making this kind of extreme rainfall a more frequent reality because clouds hold more moisture as the temperature rises, resulting in more destructive storms. Those are your headlines. I'm April Cummings. Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
The headline news is brought to you by Health Services Authority.
It's one of the best moments of your life when you welcome your baby into the world. The HSA's experienced women's health and maternity team provides the highest quality of care throughout your pregnancy and delivery. As a JCI accredited hospital, we are the leader in maternal care, safely delivering over 700 babies annually. Visit hsa.ky for more information. At HSA, we are committed to caring for you.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
In Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, it was around the same time as the emancipation process that permanent settlements, or rather resettlements, began on the islands, and the whites, who had never owned slaves. However, the first certain knowledge of settlement was during the early 1830s. The James Minot's slave census of 1834 recorded that a Mr. William Page was living on Little Cayman with 6 slaves. The following year, Captain Pack arrived on Little Cayman to read the Emancipation Proclamation to Page and the slaves, after which the slaves are believed to have left.
Information from this historical vignette was sourced from Founded Upon the Seas, A History of the Cayman Islands and Their People by Michael Creighton and the New History Committee.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. Thanks for sharing with us. 949-8037, 949-6990. Toll free with the compliments of Flow at 1-800-534-8255. Or you can WhatsApp, you can message, you can do a voice note, or you can call 925-3261. That's the WhatsApp number. Now, it's Wednesday, and many of us are excited about the summer, despite the increase in, reports from weather services seemingly across the globe of rising temperatures, or it's feeling hotter than normal, and it probably is, but we can still keep our cool. We can still find ways to positively and constructively contribute to our communities to make it a civil, stable society. Let's take this call. Welcome, good afternoon, thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Sterling. How are you?
Excellent. How are you today?
It's a beautiful day in the Cayman Islands.
Oh, thank God for that. Thank God indeed.
Right. We give our blessings every day. Even though it's not how we would like it to be, but we still have to give God thanks for a beautiful day.
So true.
I have a little something that I would like to enlighten the people of the Cayman Islands about. There's one nationality here on island, and it's a big nationality that is here. And the thing is, I don't know if anyone else see or know of anything, but I think we need to be very careful with the people that we're bringing in here. There is prostitution around this island, around these islands, I must say. There's gangs around here from the same nationality. They are coming in, they have a company, or someone is in charge of those. They're bringing people in here. They're letting them pick their husbands for them. They're doing anything else that they want to do. They're getting the job. They're taking away the Caymanian husbands. They're playing the mistress of the house. They're doing so much, and I don't know why. I really don't know why immigration is giving these people work permits. And as I said before, I called on the radio station the other day, said that people are putting in work permits and doing them online. I really don't know where this came out from, because as I would say, when I go to apply for jobs, they want to know everything about me, who I am, where I live, how many children I have, what they had to eat for dinner, what they're going to have for supper. And I think it's very unfair to us Caymanians, very unfair.
What do we do about that, though?
What do we do about it? Let the MLAs and the people from work enforcement start knowing the kind of people we're bringing into our island. This island was number one when it comes to integrity and whatever. We had a class of people that we knew about, but everyone is just coming in here for the dollar. They have no value for the people of Cayman. They have no value for the Caymanians. They have no value for the children. They're helpers. They don't care about our children. They only care about that, the $1. Once they can go to the MoneyGram, they can go to Foster's, they're sending it home. They don't care about us. They're only here for that almighty dollar. That's all that they're here for. You think that they care about our elderly, our kids, our dogs, or whatever? They don't. They do not care, and something has to be done. It is too much going on, and people are afraid to call this radio station, and something has to be done. If people shout, make their voice known or heard, they get fired from their jobs because you know what? They're not able to speak. They're not free to speak. We're like communists. They're not able to speak in their own country. And it's really wrong. It's wrong. And something has to be done. Something really has to be done. There's too much. We're overcrowded. We're overrun. We're overpopulated. And yet they want 100,000. I mean, this is ridiculous. What are we going to do? If a storm comes, there's not going to even be enough food in the supermarket for the poor Caymanians. In fact, the Caymanians won't even have money to purchase food because it's all sent out to different countries. So I want you and anyone else just to think on these things that I'm saying, because this is just the beginning of what we're going to feel, see, and hear and live with. Thank you for listening.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And as that caller will lead, it's interesting how we try so hard, not just publicly, to be so polite and sometimes diplomatic. Well, let's take these calls. Hey, thank you for being a part of the discussion. Good afternoon. Welcome. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling.
Good afternoon, Dwayne. Good afternoon, Ms. Susan, and to all our listeners.
And to you, Mr. Raymond. Good afternoon, sir.
Yes, sir. I was right in your headquarters there on Wednesday morning, but I didn't get to see you.
Okay.
I was on vacation at that time, last Wednesday morning.
Yes, sir. I managed to have a little time to take care of some things that have been postponing, but glad you made it down to this part of the globe.
Yes, I made a special trip to come down to the Seafarers celebration there on Sunday. That was a great day, and the place was just about packed with seafarers and other persons. That was a delightful time that I could associate with all of those, and thanks to all of those people in Grand Cayman who made my visit a very successful and pleasant time.
Well, thankfully, yes, glad you had a good time and it was a safe, enjoyable one, sir. Thank you. Yes,
sir. I want to talk about the worldwide prices as to why Cayman Islands, they're always talking about why the high prices in foodstuffs are going up because of the high cost of transporting goods throughout the world. Okay, well, here is some factual news. They were using that as an excuse because the container prices to transport a container from China to Los Angeles, China to New York, New Orleans, Houston, etc., had went up this exorbitant amount to $15,000 to bring in a 40-foot container from the Far East to the United States. Now that price has dropped down to a 10-year low, the lowest it ever been in 10 years. It's roughly $1,800 to ship a 40-foot container from Shanghai, China to Los Angeles, California, and around $3,500 to ship a 40-foot container from anywhere in China or Korea to New York, New Jersey, Savannah, places like that, just around $3,500. So the prices in that has gone back to a 10-year normal since the pandemic has caused the prices to skyrocket. And about the trade with Ukraine, they cut off the trade of exporting wheat, corn, soybean, and soybean oil and all those kind of things. Again, they got to stop on that. And here is people in the Western Hemisphere talking about a food crisis because of the war in Ukraine. The facts is about it. Ukraine supplies most of Africa and Asia with their soybeans, agricultural products. So the Western Hemisphere does not have any shortage. United States is still producing and has millions of tons. Canada, millions of tons. Argentina, Brazil, and all these other places still continue to produce, and there is no disruption to getting those kind of agricultural products into the Caribbean, Central America, South America, whatever. Ukraine supplies a specific number of places, not the entire world. Also, Ukraine was a big supplier of fertilizer to the United States, ammonium nitrate for growing the crops in the United States, and that has been reduced because of the war. And quite an interesting thing, many of us Caymanians are importing, the stores importing bananas from Honduras. They come from Miami, Port Everglades, and all those places to the Cayman Islands. Now, the majority of those bananas in Honduras are grown from Russian fertilizer, ammonium nitrate, sent from St. Petersburg, Russia, and Luga and Novorossiysk in Russia, directly to Puerto Cortes, Honduras. The big ships dock up there, offload the ammonium nitrate, and that's used for most of the agricultural products in Honduras. Also, they import it from United States as well. And now China is supplying Honduras with vast amounts of ammonium nitrate for growing crops. They just signed a MOU, Memorandum of Understanding, with the government of Honduras to provide up to $20 billion worth of assistance to Honduras. So the Chinese are big in Honduras, and even Jamaica, Trinidad, all the Caribbean islands, their involvement is unlimited and continues to grow.
Yeah, Mr. Irwin?
Yes, sir, still here.
Okay. And it is part of that understanding of what's happening globally, how it could be affecting us, locally. But then, are there things that we can do to positively, impact our lives, the cost of living, the quality of life? What's your view? I know we have some other callers, but I don't want to hold you up too long.
Seek another alternative, but we are dependent on Florida for all our imports and exports. We are dependent on the Miami, Tampa, Port Everglades, and all those places.
So, where would you see the alternative be to remove that dependency?
The suppliers in the Cayman Islands would have to seek that out. There is places in Honduras, places in Costa Rica, and numerous other places that you could get good deals on fresh produce. Even Jamaica has a lot of fresh produce as well. So Jamaica, they have a company that is actually having 3 big reefer ships built in China to trade the old-time trade that the geese line used to have from England to Kingston, Jamaica, carrying fruit. So that's a company is going to start back that trade, carrying bananas and oranges and pineapples and all of that out of Jamaica, going back to England. Out Portsmouth, England, and Plymouth, England, and Liverpool from Jamaica. So that's a big new trade of fruits and transport that's going to start up. And here is another interesting thing I know about. Jamaica has a very large dry dock that is en route being towed from Bremerhaven, Germany, to Kingston Harbor Head. That dry dock will be anchored off Harbor Head in Kingston for dry docking ships up to about 700 feet long. The dry dock will be anchored there, and the ships will be brought in by their own power close by, and then tugboats will direct them into the dry dock, and then the dry dock will pump itself up, and you will be able to walk around a ship 600 or 700 feet long. They already got a contract to do their first ship the end of October or November. It's going to pass the Cayman Islands going to Kingston, and they're going to be requiring, there's jobs available now for numerous welders, torch workers, and all that kind, mechanics and engineers. So if anyone is interested in applying for a job at that new dry dock in Kingston, they can do so, and it's a good possibility. Like a professional welders are needed to work on the dry dock. It's a brand new dry dock, and it's a huge dry dock. It'll be the nearest one to us in the Caribbean. So ships will be able to go there and just dry dock, lift them up onto dry steel deck, and walk around them and
do the repairs and stuff.
And paint them. That's why the German company is doing it in partnership with a Jamaican company. So that's quite an outstanding thing happening there.
Indeed. Very, very well for the region. All right, Mr. Raymond, thank you. Please allow us to take this other caller, but always a wealth of information. Hey, good afternoon. Thank you for your patience and appreciate your contribution.
Mr. Sterling, good afternoon.
And to you, sir. A very, very wonderful day.
You're good? You good?
Always, thank God, always.
Especially now that we're getting a little water. I hope you put your bucket outside.
Well, my bucket, my bath pan, and even, yeah, it's all good, man. It's all good.
smoke pan too?
No, man, I upturn my conch shells.
Okay. I want to speak in connection with my good friend, the lady that spoke just before Mr. Raymond.
Mm-hmm.
What she was saying about all of these nationalities. I'm like her. I don't hate nobody because we need everybody in the country, but then some of them bring the same standard of life where they coming from to put and to try to change our way of life. And I reflect back on the Psalms 24 that he has founded it upon the seas and established it upon the waters. But Cayman are changing overnight. Tonight you go sleep with a little bit of Cayman culture. In the morning, that is gone overnight. Mr. Sterling, a lot of things are happening in the night while we are supposed to be resting. A lot of things going on. A lot of illegal things is happening on the island, and every day a couple of us keep calling and talking and complaining about it. We are trying to complain because we have nowhere to go when the going get rough. Those people that causing it can pick up and go. We can't go anywhere. We got to stay and take it. And I got to agree with her. What is our government doing? They are continuing to let the people that is coming into this country take it over, you know. They have their fence put up. The government officials, they got their fence put up. Wear a high. You can only get past them with clean. But the common man, the poor person, which is more power to hear than wealth. But we have to suck it up and take it. We can't go nowhere, Mr. Sterling. And the cost of living is going up every day. Wages is staying the same. How will we survive in the Cayman Islands? You know, in the years gone by when I was a boy, we were living better. A lot of people would agree with me. A lot of Caymanians would agree with me, maybe even you. I could go in the North Sound and die 10, 15 conks in care home. How conks are now limited to 5 per boat or something like that. I don't know if these people that are making these laws really know what's going on. When you buy 5 conks, you got to score them first. They end up being 1 conk. You got a family of 4 or 5 to feed. 5 conks can feed them? No. What's going on with these people that making these laws? I don't think it's Caymanians that making the laws. People are coming in here making the laws. I remember some time back they had one lady talking about lobsters, and I had to call in and stop her. I said, can you give me information? What do you know about lobster? Well, I study in college. In college? I'm sorry. And I had to tell her, she don't know what's going on in the water. She going to school and study that. I've done that all of my life. I raised up with that. But Mr. Sterling, the point is I'm saying we want to hear something from the government. When are they going to raise the cost of wages for the people, livable wages that we can survive? When you go inside of the supermarket now with $100, you coming out with bread, milk, and I don't know, a dozen eggs, and they're going up too. So we can't survive, Mr. Sterling.
Mm-hmm.
And the people that is coming into the country, they get together, you know, and they chip in, everybody chip in, and they live in good. But we can't live like that because we're not used to living like that. When I was on the ship, I used to hang up my clothes in the room for the next day, put them back on, go and work on the deck. But they're living like that in their houses, hanging them up on nails and different things. And it's a lot of, Mr. Sterling, there's so much things that need to be cleared in this island. And the government officials are relaxed to the max. They are relaxed and not concerned about the Caymanian people. And I know the nationality that my good friend is talking about. And when they come into your house, especially if they're going to be taking care of the elderly ones, and that's another thing that I don't agree with, because even our young children want to put the elderly now in these retirement homes and foreign people that don't know nothing about the country or the islands or is taking care of the elderly people. We took care of our elderly until they passed away. The people come in the morning, hello, Mr. Sterling, good to see you. And they're gone and on their phone dealing with their business 5 o'clock. Mr. Sterling, I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good night. They check with you twice. But they in your house and doing and taking everything you don't know. So you can't come out the room. But Mr. Sterling, what I'm saying and what she's saying and what other Cayman is trying to say, we need the officials that we voted for, that every 4 years when they come around, they promise you all kind of things, and they know your phone number, but the minute they are elected, they block you. Try to help your own people, because your own people can be the ones that stay with you until the end. I can't continue no more in the same drum. But
thank you.
I'm saying, we need the government officials to look and help us, Caymanians.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, too. Well, you as well. Let's take these other callers. Thank you for waiting. Good afternoon. Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hey, how you doing?
Good night. Hi, boy. I tell you. Yes. Well, the old man, the young man there, he put it down to 2. But the young lady before that, she was talking, and she was talking about the nationalities and stuff like that, and there's a particular nationality and who had a high. That we all don't know who they are, and don't be afraid. They're Jamaicans. So I mean, I don't know why people are so afraid to speak up. You can't. It's a country. People call countries names and everything. But you're not calling people names is quite fine. So I mean, we know that's the highest nationality. But anyway, we're talking about the cost of living and stuff like that, and the average person trying to live day by day. But our people have to realize that it's our people that causes this on ourselves. They continue to go to the polling station every 4 years and re-elect the same people over and over. And I'm saying like 1 or 2 of them may be concerned about our people, but majority of them goes in there, they goes in the flat like a board and comes back out fat like a hog. You understand?
I see the analogy.
I'll take a picture with them when they go in, and take a picture with them while they're in now, and see and take a picture when they're coming out. Maybe if they're losing their race and knowing they're going to win, they probably lose weight because they could probably be threatened. But, you know what I mean? They may get a big salary end of every month. And they ain't worrying. There's like some of those that's sitting up within the government in a high position. So you may hotting up the seat and can't wait till payday come to get our money. So, I mean, it's they're no different. You understand? And we can't blame the people that is coming in here. We have to blame our people that are allowing them and allowing the people that is working under them to allow these people to be coming in, because they just can't come into the airport without having proper documentation unless, you know, they're not doing the jobs at the airport. And the legal ones that are coming in on boat or ship or whatever they're coming in on, is those that's supposed to keep the borders and stuff like that. So I don't know. And sometimes maybe they're in the racket. That's why we can't get it cleaned up. You understand? That it's not probably on our little local people or boys or whoever it is into the drugstore. It could be the big ones that's supposed to be watching over the Cayman Islands, watching over our water, protecting our borders. They may be the big ones that is in it, and that's why maybe it can't mash up, it can't done. You understand? And maybe if we have someone or people are working amongst them that is against this thing, then you know they get them from out of that section because you know they're opening up too much. You understand? So is our people to blame for this? You understand? How all these people are one nationality could be so high to come into the Cayman Islands, the population of one nationality, you know, and we all know that nationality now. And I just said the name. You understand? We all know. How could they come into the Cayman Islands and continuously comes into the Cayman Islands like this if they are not allowed by our own people? Our own people have them working for them. Our own people is dependent on them to even have work for them. The open work permits, they don't have no work going on for them. And even if these people find a little work or whatever, they got a deal going on. You got to pay me when you get your money, you know what I mean? I got this permit open for you, you know, and things, you know, it's kind of front business. So it's like, we can't blame these nationalities that come in here. We got to blame our own people that are in the corruption to the highest. Some of them don't even probably hold a job. That's their job now. You know, their job is to do these type of things. You know, sit down all day just like them. You don't have a job all day long. They're buying numbers. They're gambling all day long. They're not business. That could be their last $25. They are going to gamble that out. They're not business. If their children got to eat or whatever got to be done or they got to contribute to anything, they're no business. They are just gambling and they're going and they no business. And half of those people that are doing this, they're not even contributing to society. They're just worrying about themselves. You understand? And destroying people and families. You understand? So it's like, we cannot sit down and blame the people that are coming in. It's who allowing them to come in here and do what they are doing. Because if you is opening up a work permit or work permit, people are applying for work permit. Okay? Your duty as a task force, as immigration or whatever it is, task force or enforcement officers, whatever they have, you understand? Your duty is everybody that come into that Cayman Islands airport, they have to make sure that they are going to where they're supposed to go, where they're supposed to live. They got to make sure that, and they have to make sure that these people are working and they have sufficient enough work for the time that they're giving them. Is 3 months. You got to make sure you got 3 months worth of work. You got to make sure you check up on that employer. You got to make sure that person is actually working there. They ain't doing those things. You understand? They ain't doing those things. People could be here and say, oh, we're coming to work 3 months, whatever. That's about it opening up. Now got a bit of work for the people to do. You know, so we can't continuously sit down and throw at these foreign people. We got to start licking the heads of the people that are in charge of issuing these work permits. People that is over this work permit. You understand? They need somebody to walk up in immigration and give them a good shake up in there, walk up in all those places and shake them up. You understand? Have somebody watching over them every day, making sure that they do what they're supposed to do. The business have them so scared that they don't even want to come into work. That's how you have frightened them up, because you will be there as that door open, or you got to be the one opening that door to deal with them, and you're overseeing there every day. You're looking over them. You are the supervisor over that whole section. You understand? Because something is wrong. Something is wrong. It's no way that all these people is coming to the Cayman Islands, and sometimes it's like one particular nationality. No, question that. You understand? These people are just coming in here. Tell me something. We don't have sufficient enough locals, right? That if that they don't want to work, that they don't want to clean a yard, they don't want to. You tell me that we not got enough local people that can go and clean our old people backside. We not got enough of them type of people that you got a mother, you're not working no way and you're able to take care of your mother, but you don't have no money. You understand? Yourself, you're not gonna coming in for you. You're not good enough to take care of your mother.
But remember now, right? I mean, you are right in recognizing that maybe we need to do more for our own, but there seemingly is a policy, as I understand it, cynical primarily, and maybe the same through any other insurance coverage. But you, as a family member, whether it's the sibling of that elderly person or the person who's in need of care, or it's the son or daughter or some other family member, even if you are qualified and you're given the same level of qualification that they require, you can't be retained, paid to care for this person. You need to hire somebody. And maybe that's something that we need to consider as to why that is.
I was just going to get to you about that.
Oh, okay.
How it's set up with cynical is that family members cannot take care of what do you call it, of
their own
members and be paid. Okay, just say you have a loving mother, mother that you care for, and you as a son, even that's your mother get down sick, there's nothing wrong with you bathing and taking care of your mother, because I mean your mother carried you for 9 months, 7 months, whatever, brought you into this world and took great care of you. You understand? If your mother feel comfortable with you taking care of her, and you could be her only child and use opposite sex, like I say, and she wants you to take care of her, and she feels good and you feels good that you know that you're going to give your mother that attention, right? What is the difference? That make that person live longer and be happy and live longer. You understand? But they are talking about, hear the story. It's so much about the family thing and the money thing and the this and that and all kind of stuff, right? But what the difference is now, they got the helpers complaining that they're not getting all of their money from whatever they're supposed to be getting, right? And they're still working, and like the family members is taking the money from the helpers. Okay, they got a check, just say for $1,200. I think it's 2 or 3 different sections.
Right.
500 and 3,000. I think you got 3 sections within the cynical that the payments are. If you're bedridden, I think it's $3,000 or something like that. All right. And these people supposed to be getting this full money, and the complaints is that on other talk shows that they're not getting all of the money that they're supposed to be getting, whatever they help, whoever is handling the money, not giving them all the money. Okay then, how you gonna resolve that? How can they resolve that? The only way they can resolve that is those people have to open a bank account in the Cayman Islands, and the money goes in the bank account for the employee straight from Singapore.
But even so, though, I mean, I that is part of it. But let's say you hire somebody for, I'm gonna say $1,000, whether that's a day, a week, a month, whatever, right? And you agree to pay that person, that person agrees for that amount, right? And you're getting the service that you're paying for. The person is comfortable with providing the service for that pay. You shouldn't have to concern anybody else as to how that money is being funded, right? So the complaint then should be that you are not being paid the agreed amount, or that you are not performing the agreed service, right?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is...
I hear you, but I mean...
If it's going through cynical, it's a set salary.
Right.
It's a set payment.
But it shouldn't be... Okay, go ahead. I mean...
It's a set payment.
Right.
Okay? That money that it comes from there, because apparently, like, if they don't got the money, if whatever they comes up with the money, or whoever is the employer has to come up with the first payment, and cynical reimburse them.
Right.
That's what I'm hearing, right?
Right.
Okay. What if somebody cannot afford to pay that person? What if they can't afford to pay that person? How does that person get paid?
Right. But okay, I maybe we're conflicting a couple of things, right? I know there's some other callers. My understanding, and I'm just looking at it from a sort of a contractual perspective, right? If you hire someone to do something, and let's say it's where you can claim on your insurance because that's a benefit under your insurance policy. And since we're talking cynical, let's say it's that case for the elderly care and the like. Whatever the sum is that you're able to be reimbursed for, let's say it's $1,000 or the $1,200 or it's $3,000, but you're paying that person, let's say $2,000, and you're getting $1,000 back from your insurance because that's the maximum benefit under your policy. and then you subsidize, you make up the difference for that 1,000 from insurance plus 1,000 from your pocket. If the caregiver, the nurse, whatever that person is termed, is not getting the 2,000 that you agreed, or the 1,500 or whatever, then there should be a recourse for that person to say, listen, you agreed to pay me this amount, you're not. Just like if you say, listen, I agreed to, hire you for 5 hours a day and you're going to do A, B, C, D, and E, but you're not doing it, there should be some way to handle that grievance. The insurance company's agreement is with you, the insured, and not with the person that you've contracted with.
Yeah.
Right.
And then I don't hold so much longer.
Fair enough.
Another problem is is like some of them probably, or could be most of them, not going to complain, because they are too happy to be in the Cayman Islands.
Right.
That they can get and don't take now. You hear them quiet now, not saying anything now. Don't take now that they're not making money. Another how
Yeah.
Oh, still tongue keeps a wise head. Remember that.
Yeah.
So don't take now that they not got their hands down in the jackpot and the number this and that and all kind of stuff and all kind of things. They may be doing selling food, maybe into selling drugs and selling whatever they got going on for them. So don't take no. What do you think they're so quiet?
Yeah.
What do you think they're not really getting up and saying anything? Yeah. Because just having a permit in the Cayman Islands is an heaven.
Yeah.
You understand? And not only that, is that this here is the second heaven. Cayman Islands is the second heaven. And say people say a fowl coop or a hog pen is better than in the Cayman Islands is better than a mansion where they come from. Because a lot of where they come from, they can't even step out their door for somebody to kill them. They can't even slide out their house for somebody to kill them. They can't even walk out on the street for somebody to kill them or go missing and all kinds of stuff. So here is like, and when they get here and they get on their phone and they start calling up their friends and their family and everybody and their neighbors and boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, wife, and everybody and say, oh God, this and all kind of stuff. Different nationalities do it, you understand? But one particular nationality is the highest. Everybody know that. Like I said, I call the name already and I say it again. Jamaicans. You understand? They're going to spread their news, and everywhere they go, they meet up with each other and they get together and they take care of each other. But you see, probably when they're home in Jamaica, they are killing each other. But when they go to another country, they're binding together. You understand? That's why they can conquer the people, every country that they mostly go to, they can conquer. The only one country that I see that only kind of handles with them is America. And when Trump came in, he was sending them home. He was sending them home, deporting them. You understand?
Right.
But
would you
everywhere they go, let me tell you something. Everywhere you go, you get off an airplane, aboard a ship, you will see one of them. I'm telling you, they unite, and they're doing the same thing in the Cayman Islands. And on August the 4th, go to Lion Center and wave your Cayman flag up there. Be careful, they burn it.
All right. I want to chat with you again at a time, so make sure I get your number. I lost it last time. If you want to leave it with Paul, do that for me, okay? All right, we're going to quick break, and then we take the other calls. Stay tuned.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. This summer, I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, and now Panama. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old girl this summer.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Hey, is your phone slow, overheating, and dropping important calls? Don't fret. This summer, it's time to flip out with Digicel. Introducing the all-new Samsung Flip 4 with its sleek design and cutting-edge features. You'll flip into the summer in style and confidence. This summer, you can grab the all-new Samsung Flip 4, all just for $145. Flip into the summer with Digicel. Visit a Digicel store near you and grab the all-new Samsung Flip 4 and the amazing 7-day Prime Ultra plan today.
Do you have a customer shutoff valve installed? The customer shutoff valve enables you to turn off the water between the meter and your property. If you plan to shelter away from your home or are preparing your business for a storm, turning off the customer shutoff valve can prevent unexpected high water bills and property damage should a leak occur in your plumbing. For more useful hurricane preparedness tips, visit the Water Authority's website at www.waterauthority.ky or follow us on social media.
Explore your history. Explore your land. Explore your sister islands, the ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom, the land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your sister islands.
Discover all that our sister islands have to offer. The best foundation you can wear is glowing, healthy skin. The offices of dermatologist Dr. Wayne Porter specialize in enhancing your skin's well-being. Whether you're seeking advanced skincare, including any skin cancers, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles, Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email drporterkman@gmail.com or call 946-9020. That is 946-9020.
I love Pizza Boat. It's yummy. It has my two favorite things combined, cheese and boats. Pizza Boat makes pizza way more fun.
Hop on board the Pizza Boat Express. Kids, now Pizza Boat makes pizza even more fun. Summer is here. Lunch or dinner, let Pizza Boat bring the fun. Pizza Boat, a Cayman twist to pizza, bringing fusion ingredients from all over the globe to give you locally inspired fresh pizzas all day, every day. Pizza Boat, now open in Queens Court on Westway Road. Pick up or delivery 949-0000 or order online www.pizzaboat.ky.
Yo, big up Massive. Summer is here and Digicel got the vibes flowing straight to Jamaica. That's right, me people. Digicel has a sizzling offer for you. Top up for your loved ones in a Jamaica and you get a chance to win the ultimate trip to the land of sun, sea and good vibes. To enter for the free trip to Jamaica, just send top up to your loved ones back home with Digicel and you automatically qualify. Remember, the more top up you send, the higher the chance you win. So make sure you don't miss out on the fun. Me people, get the summer vibes flowing with a top up for your loved ones with Digicel and get ready for a trip of a lifetime.
The STEPS 2023 National Health Survey is now in full swing, and the Ministry of Health and Wellness would like to thank the community for their ongoing support of this endeavor. Participants who have completed Steps 1 and 2 of the survey are reminded to complete Step 3 by July the 31st. Any survey participant needing additional support or information can contact nhwsteps@gov.ky or call 936-4969.
You know you've dreamed of that Mercedes, the smooth leather, the style, luxury that feels so good. Ooh la la. With the prestigious 2023 Mercedes-Benz GLA 200 up for grabs in this year's Lions Club of Grand Cayman Benzorama fundraiser. This is your chance to make that dream come true. Tickets are $25 for one, 3 for $65, or 5 for $100. Benzorama fundraiser tickets are available with Lions Club members and various sales outlets. The Lions Club of Grand Cayman Benzorama fundraiser supports numerous community initiatives, includes site screening, Christmas delivery, restoration, and social services.
They say variety is the spice of life, and that's why at Subway we're introducing the new boneless hot sub.
Say what? The premium sub brings new ingredients like spicy breaded boneless chicken, French's crispy fried onions, and buffalo wing sauce, bringing a zesty and flavorful experience with every bite. Add some of your favorite veggies, cheese, and ranch sauce of your choice of freshly baked bread for the ultimate boneless hot sub. For a little spice in your life, try the new boneless hot sub from Subway.
So good and tasty.
And make it a meal with a drink and chips or cookies. Subway. Eat fresh.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. This summer, I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Yes, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, and now Panama. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal this summer.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
Take some advice from your Aunt Angie. If you're going to invest in an exotic pet, choose anything but a Norwegian forest cat. Apparently, they will eat all your jewelry. Before you know it, you're racing to the vet when your cat escapes from his carrier and lunges for your earrings. You crash and your cat swallows your pearls. But if you're smart, you'll have CG Motor Insurance and get the best comprehensive coverage for the price.
Get the best comprehensive coverage for the price. CG Britke. Good like that. All benefits are subject to policy provisions, including eligibility at the time of service.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for sharing with us. And until our break at 2, let's take this call. Hey, welcome. Thank you for calling.
Good afternoon, Mr. Sterling.
And to you all. Wonderful good afternoon.
I've been listening to your show off and on, and I was listening to George. I didn't hear the lady that was before George. But, you know, the answers that we're looking for in this island, with everything else that's happening, I doubt very much you're going to get the answers. And that lady you had on there a few minutes ago, I was eating a cooked dinner, and let me tell you something, I have never digested a bit of food in my life the way I digest that today. That lady needs to go and write a book, and believe me, her book wouldn't have a problem selling, because she couldn't put it all together any better than she did today on the radio. And Sterling, you know, you don't like calling nationalities, but when something happened to Kimani and you first say, oh, John did this and John did that, and she probably got 10 years and blah, 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 blah. You know what I mean? And he keeps all the experts, regardless if they're work permit or whatever they are, they're undercover until someone hears it and leaks it out, and then they come and tell the media or put on Facebook. But I just want to say that, you know, we got flags coming from that country practically every day and just about every night of the week. And we have brought this upon ourselves. The thing with it, Caymanians stop having children, our country continue to grow business-wise and population had to come with the businesses for them to have workers in their businesses. And this is where we having a downfall. And it's all about just making the dollar and not looking at the consequences of what's happening in society amongst us as human beings on this island. We're just an island, we're surrounded by water. We have absolutely no way to run. You know what I mean? So something really needs to be done to a degree, because if we continue the way we're going right now, I'm not even going to say 5 years, I say probably 2.5 or 3 years, we're going to be walking on each other and driving cars on top of each other on our roads to get where we want to go. Because just last week, I noticed so many new car lots open up with tons of cars for sale. And there are more lanes put on our roads practically every week. There's a new lane open here and there. But we still haven't bottlenecks as we go along. And when you drive to the eastern side of the island and see how undeveloped that side of the island is, you would think for a second that we would take some of these sub-businesses up to the eastern side of the island, so those people on the eastern side wouldn't have to come into Georgetown to work. You understand? They come in sort of sometimes for leisure, whatever the case may be. Or to come into Georgetown, look like since I've been working 5 days in Eastern or North Side or Breakers or wherever the property is that is available.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody wants to build in Georgetown. Look at there on Golden Avenue. I mean, that, what is GTR one?
Yeah,
I don't know what that's going to pay up when that is completely finished. Yeah, right around into the wall they got there, the plywood. So I don't know where we're going, but what I'm seeing and a lot of people are seeing is not looking good. And something need to be nipped in the bud before we start eating human beings on this island we call the Cayman Islands. I think that we are too wide open, Sterling, to a degree. We will need workers in this island, but there should be some type of restriction because then we are human. They are human. Our island is small, and we open the door so wide to make them feel so welcome that they feel that they can bring their own natural power and do as they please, bring their country with them. It doesn't want nothing to do with Cayman. Their heart is in their country, but their mind is in the Cayman Islands for employment and sometimes to make our lives a living hell. But, we the people, Caymanians, we have very little of us left. Now those who's gathering status and all those kind of things, it's going to be a rock bottom after a while because they're going to come and tell us, the few of us who's left, what to do and what not to do and when to go and when to come. That's what it looks like to me. Well, God made a clean rest in peace, but I don't know what Mr. King Charles has for us. But he better try to make a trip over here and see what's happening to Seal Island and either keep us or let us go and make us all drown one time because we have no one to go to. You got chairmen here, you got managers there, you got premiers here, you got this, you got that. And when you're going to try to get a problem solved, you are turned around like a gig.
Mm-hmm.
Round and round like an idiot.
That's a spin the gig, huh?
Yeah, so I got 1 more minute.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I just want to talk about my water snack for my children. I'm just asking parents if you all have your young kids at home and you're interested in some water and some snacks for your kids, please contact me, give me your name so I can put you on my list. And we can work on this once you contact me in regards to telling me how many kids you have at home. And we can get these snacks together and the water together. And when you call me, we can discuss delivery and so forth and so forth. And my number is 97-6464. I got 2 more minutes, Sterling.
If you want, yeah, we have another caller, but go right ahead. Yeah.
No, you're going to take that caller, but I just want to say, Cayman, and that young lady was talking earlier, don't stop talking because we have to talk. Sometimes you don't get nothing up right. Sometimes you sound like a bunch of idiots. But then some people sit down and think about it, and they say, you know something, that individual is right. And the few Caymaners that is here and young and able and moving around, you all need to get up and speak up for your country. Stop making other people speak for you, and stop sitting around the dining table in the coconut tree, in the almond tree, the mango tree, talking about what should be done in Cayman. Speak and voice yourself. You have nowhere to go. Everyone in here on a piece of paper, they have somewhere to go, and we have nowhere to go. Darling, thank you.
Thank you, too. Thank you. Let's take this other caller. Hey, welcome. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome.
Hello, are you hearing me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How are you?
Yes, it's okay. I forgot to mention, I know there's many people in Grand Cayman that are interested in these mega structures that be passing by the islands on a regular basis because several people calls me and wants to find out when is the next one coming by. So I would say let me get on the air and let the people know what's coming by. Tomorrow morning there is one of the biggest ships of its kind in the world transporting 3 dock cranes to be used in the port of Houston, Texas. They are tower-type cranes. There are 3 of them sitting on a super tanker-sized ship coming from Shanghai, China, going to Houston, and it will dock alongside the dock, and those cranes will be pulled off the ship right onto the dock and mounted on the dock. They are roughly 400 feet tall. There's 3 of them sitting on the deck of this super tanker-sized ship, welded to the deck to make the journey brand new from the builder's yard in Shanghai, China. They're valued at $23 million a piece, 3 of them, each one $23 million. And they will be able to span across 22 containers on a ship that will carry 18,000 containers. So that means 176 feet wide tower crane. You see the tower cranes that is over the buildings in Grand Cayman when they're being built like 75 or 100 feet. So this crane will be able to reach out 176 feet across of a mega container ship in the port of Houston. So that's passing to the southwest of Grand Cayman, out south of South Sound. Looks like between 12 and 14 miles out. So many boaters go over to 12 Mile Bank. Boats go over to 60 Mile Bank. So some of them are likely to see this monster ship coming by with the 3 giant cranes. It's doing like 12 knots, like 14 miles per hour, coming to the northwest. So that's something, a mega structure. And we had 2 floating hotels passed out there, one yesterday morning, going to Louisiana, that can accommodate 750 persons on board. It's a self-powered hotel. 2 of them went by within 2 weeks. So between 12 Mile Bank and 60 Mile Bank, some of the world's most unique structures and only kind of its kind in the world have been passing out there over the years. That is such a busy place out there. Sometimes they come between the islands, but not very often north of Grand Cayman, and sometimes north of Cayman Brac, but the direct route, most of them stays between 12 Mile Bank and 60 Mile Bank. That's their passage.
Right. Well, Mr. Raymond, one of our listeners said, to tell you thank you for your insights. So thanks very much. And you are right. Many like to hear the facts that you relay, especially about the passing structures. Thanks very much, Mr. Raymond. All right, with that, let's just take the news and then we come back. Come on, share your thoughts with us. Don't hold back. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
Continuing the Caymanian tradition.
Let Cora keep my ground so clean.
The heart and soul of the Cayman people. Thank you for keeping the culture alive.
Spread the news every day. From East End to Georgetown, down into West Bay.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman.
Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
With your latest headlines, I'm April Cummings. Potential changes in store for the country's pension legislation. At the July 11th meeting, Cabinet approved the issuance of drafting instructions to amend the National Pensions Act. While there, they also gave the green light for publication of the consultation draft of the updated National Energy Policy 2023 to 2050 on the dedicated Energy Policy website, which will initiate a 30-day public consultation process. The go-ahead was also given for drafting instructions to amend the Labor Tribunal members' remuneration regulations. In international headlines, firefighting aircraft and ground crews from other countries headed to Greece today to help battle wildfires that have intensified as a heat wave baked much of southern Europe in temperatures above 104 degrees Fahrenheit. New evacuations were ordered today as wildfires raged near Athens. In a round-the-clock battle to preserve forests, industrial facilities, and vacation homes, evacuations continued for a third day along a highway connecting the capital to the southern city of Corinth. In business news, the BBC is reporting interest rates are predicted to rise less sharply after the UK saw a surprise drop in inflation in June. The Bank of England has raised rates 13 times since December 2021 to try to cool soaring price rises, driving up borrowing costs for millions. Experts say it is now under less pressure to act after inflation slowed to a 7.9% in June, down from 8.7% the previous month. It means UK inflation has dropped to its lowest level in more than a year. Those are your headlines. I'm April Cummings.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman. Your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
Freedom, Cayman Brack. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Did you know that in an event of a hurricane, water designated for the purposes of drinking, cooking, and bathing must be disinfected before use? Water may be disinfected by boiling or through the use of chlorine bleach. To disinfect through boiling, simply leave the water on the fire 1 minute after it begins to boil. To disinfect with bleach, add 3 ounces of chlorine bleach to every 1,000 gallons of water. If you're not able to smell the bleach in the water after 30 minutes, then add half of the amount of bleach that was added during the initial application. Recheck the water after 15 minutes to ensure there is residual bleach smell. A residual bleach smell is an indicator that the water has been properly disinfected. For more hurricane food safety tips, visit the DEH website, www.gov.ky/DEH.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thanks for sharing with us. We're on the sort of last lap, as it were. And no, it's not Carnival. 949-837. Some people are surprised. What? You know the lingo? Not as young as I look, But I'm not as old as, some of you think either. Just kidding. 949-837. 1-800-534-TALK. Some people say, how old are you? And your answer is probably old enough to know better, but young enough to still try. If you can't give up, You got to press on, press in. You got to be purposeful, positive, productive, willing to stand for what you believe is right and just, and ensure that people are unified. A sense of love. One of our esteemed listeners, says on travel growth in work permits. Okay, let's read that in a minute. Let's take this call first, though. Give a call as preference. Welcome, good afternoon, and thank you for sharing.
Hey, good evening, Sterling. How you doing?
Been a while I haven't heard from you, man. How you doing?
I've been sitting back, laying back, listening to the people, man. I've been here, but I've not been calling. Sorry about that. Sorry.
No, man. Listen. Sometimes we find ourselves in a place where we're just pensive, in order to consider what next to do, right?
Yeah. Just refueling my mind. But when I heard that lady call, the one before Miss John call, regarding the situation with the experts in here, I had to listen to her so intensive and to take in what she was saying, to realize that we are in this country and we are, the law is saying that we are discriminating against foreigners in our country, but they come in our country and they don't discriminate against us. We can't call by name and by nature. This is our country. We have the all right to do as we please in this country. There shouldn't be no law that discriminates against the Caymanian. And like what the gentleman was talking about with the passport and thing with our children, how to prove that we are Caymanians and ourselves. For right now, Sterling, I must say our government have to be embarrassed with the way that they're leading this country. They have to be ashamed of the way they're leading this country. Because the past governments put the country in the mess, in the bind that we are in, and these didn't do nothing else. They instead of them tearing down what destroyed the country or destroying the country, they're tearing down one another, trying to find revenge and find power and give power to those that don't deserve it. And why I say that was, when we come in the situation that we are in, you hear them come on the radio. Up to this morning, they were on there again about the ducks and the this and the that. Every time certain minister come on the talk shows or on the television, you watch him, he talking about caucus. Listen, he needs to stop talking about in caucus and talking about covering us. You know, not covering us, Sterling. Stop with this fool about when we in caucus, because they're not doing nothing in caucus. Because we need help in this country. And if the people don't realize and stand up like what Miss John and the lady was saying earlier, we're going to be defeated because they're going to override us, and we don't have no way to run, because in their country, where they kill more than our population in 1 year, we are just sitting vulnerable to the weakest point in our life, and our government is doing absolutely nothing but worrying about one cruise ship and one British Airways are flying in here. That's all they're worrying about. They're not worrying about the Cayman people. What's happened to them? They have lost their vision of why the people put them in there. Me, myself, elected a certain member, put them in there, and you can't even see them or hear from them. Why are we allowing this to happen with certain individuals to go in power time after time after time after time? It's a time for a change. And if we don't make a change now, Sterling, it's going to be too late. If we don't grab the bull by the horns, the bull going to leave the fence, the gate, and we're not going to catch it back. It's a situation that we're in, and I say that many times when I call your show, and I say that many times when I call OC show. We need to kill the bee and kill the cow. We cannot be this land of milk and honey anymore. Kill them too.
But if we did that...
What I wanted to top it off with, not cutting you off.
No, of course not.
When we allow people to come in our country and give them a lifespan of 15 years in order for them to be rollover, you call it, that is giving them a handshake. I would love to go to Miami right now. I love Miami. Of all the parts of the states that I went, I prefer Miami any day. And I would love to go there and stay 15 years. They give me 6 months. 6 months. Why is our government giving people so much left of overstay in this country? And they put down roots, and the people of Cayman don't have nothing and no way to turn, because the government raises the prices on us as the Caymanians and give them the benefits of their land. Sterling, that's not fair. That is not fair. And I don't understand why it is that they're not seeing what they're doing. I don't know if they don't want this one to be blamed or that one to be blamed. But at the time that they're sitting down being blinded to the stupidity that they're creating, they're drowning us, like what Mr. John said. They're pushing our head under the water slowly.
Yeah.
And
one of our listeners just quickly says, they were just traveling to the States recently, and it's no longer 6 months, it's now 3 months that they're giving you.
Wow. You think of that, Sterling. You know what? When you stop and think, I was even listening to the radio. And this morning when I turned on the radio, I had to wonder if we were listening to Radio Jamaica, if I had tuned into Radio Jamaica or Radio Cayman. I had to wait for a commercial come on that I realized it was Radio Cayman. I mean, when you go to Miami, you don't hear Radio Cayman in Miami. When you go to Rome, the Romans, you do what the Romans do. That's why I keep saying that. When we go to Miami, we hear Spanish, we hear American, we don't hear Haitian radio or anything else, unless you go to the flea markets where they got a little boost for Haitian different. They're not different. But where are we going? Why are our leaders are so caught up in that big salary that they're making that they're forgetting about us?
It's interesting. I may try to share some of what is coming through electronically, but also what's been relayed recently. But let's listen first. I never want to cut you or any of the caller. We do have others, but if you want to share some more, if not, we'll take the other caller.
No, I'll chat with you another time.
Of course, man. Always will. All right. Thank you. dialogue is good, especially when it's, considered and respectful. What do you say, Mr. Fox? We take the call? Or it's 12 past? All right, pause, and then take the call. Hey, you in charge, my friend. I'm just at the wheel. Join me after.
Looking to grow your business? We got this. Yellow Media Group has a proven track record for successfully marketing over 10,000 businesses on the web, expanding our customers' reach and providing measurable results. With the Caribbean's largest team of certified digital consultants, we handle everything from website development to search engine marketing and much more. So don't worry, we got this. For a free consultation, contact Lee Hipkins at 936-1981.
You know you've dreamed of that Mercedes, the smooth leather, the style, luxury that feels so good. Ooh la la. With the prestigious 2023 Mercedes-Benz GLA 200 up for grabs in this year's Lions Club of Grand Cayman Benzorama fundraiser. This is your chance to make that dream come true. Tickets are $25 for one, 3 for $65, or 5 for $100. Benzorama fundraiser tickets are available with Lions Club members and various sales outlets. The Lions Club of Grand Cayman Benzorama fundraiser supports numerous community initiatives, includes site screening, Christmas delivery, restoration, and social services.
From boat days to beach gatherings, leave the catering to Subway. Choose from small and large sandwich platters, double meat wrap platters, and top it off with optional cookie platters for dessert. Or ask about our Subway box to go with the option of 6-inch or foot-long sandwich, 1 cookie, and 1 bag of chips. For all occasions and celebrations, let Subway focus on the food so you can focus on the fun. Visit subway.ky for catering options. Subway. Eat fresh.
At Doctor's Hospital, we know life happens, and usually when you least expect it. So when unexpected medical issues arise, you need quality care close to home. Located in the heart of Georgetown, our accomplished team of physicians and medical staff treat minor urgent conditions such as migraines, chest and abdominal pain, shortness of breath, burns, broken bones, open wounds, and more. 24 hours, 7 days a week with no appointment necessary. Peace of mind is important when life happens. At Doctor's Hospital, we're always here just for you. Need to speak to someone? Call 949-6066.
You know, as a little girl, I dreamt of traveling to faraway places and foreign lands. I tell you what though, no more dreaming. This summer, I'm going flying with Cayman Airways. How blessed are we in the Cayman Islands to have a very own national airline? Girl, you can fly to so many international destinations without the hassle of connecting flights. On top of Jamaica, Cuba, and Honduras, you got non-stop flights from Cayman to New York, Miami, Tampa, and even Denver, Los Angeles, and now Panama. Going to be a little cafe con leche and Hollywood Squares for this old gal this summer.
Make your travel dreams come true with Cayman Airways, offering non-stop flights for non-stop adventures in Panama, LA, and many more places in between. For details and to book, call 949-2311, contact a travel agent, or visit CaymanAirways.com.
The 2023 Household Budget Survey is currently being conducted by the Economics and Statistics Office. The data collected from the survey will determine the items and the dollar value of these items that are included in the new Consumer Price Index basket of consumer goods and services for the Cayman Islands. Trained interviewers with identification cards from the ESO will visit 2,400 randomly selected households across all districts. The Household Budget Survey will run for 1 year, ending February 2024. Approximately 200 households will be interviewed each month. The interviews are confidential in accordance with a Statistics Act. No individual data will be published or disclosed. Survey data are exempt from Freedom of Information requests. For further information on any aspect of the Household Budget Survey, please contact the ESO hotline at 516-3329.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back, and thanks for sharing with us. It is open line. Let's go to the phones. Hey, welcome. Thank you for calling.
Hello, Dwayne. How are you doing today?
Hey, how are you, man?
Good, not bad. I was listening early on. one of your callers mentioned something I mentioned yesterday, so I just want to reiterate what I said yesterday.
Uh-huh.
But you brought up about the wages increase, right? And think that increasing wages would make you have a better way of life. When in actual fact, as I said yesterday, if you increase wages across the board, then obviously companies will have to increase their costs, which means you end up in the same position that you were. Do you agree with that?
Say that again.
If you increase wages tomorrow to $15 an hour across the board, Foster's, all the rest of companies, you think that they would take the extra increase in wages, or they'll pass it on?
I actually repeat that because I think increasingly we don't understand that the increased costs, right, to business, because increased wages just means that they have to increase their prices to pay for that increased wages.
Exactly. So
So
saying that, right? Again, that's not the answer.
Mm-hmm.
The answer for this island is for governments to tighten their belt and stop spending money willy-nilly that we have to pay for, thereby dropping the cost of living.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And in order to also drop the cost of living, we need, again, as I said yesterday, to empower our people to do what we can do here. Right? We have people, myself, and other people that are in the farming and the food industry and see a need, right, for going forward in this way. And mind you, all we do is talk about food sustainability, but is there actually anything being done about it? So it's sound bites.
Yeah.
Right? And for the last cause, I was saying that it seems like we need a new government or they've lost their vision. I believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, this has been a government of basically almost all new faces, right?
It would appear that, their approach may not necessarily, as a country, has been as cohesive nor as consistent, but more importantly, considered, especially from the long-term perspective. We're just, trading water.
Yeah. So, I mean, the government that we have in now is supposed to be the change. Right? But the thing is that we continue, and we have continued, right, to kick the pan down the road. We're not talking about anything that's new. Yeah? If you think about it, we've been talking about this for 20 years now.
If not more, right?
We're talking about education. We're talking about the cost of living. We're talking about jobs for Caymanians. These are reoccurring topics that every politician, I dare say, ran on. Every one of them ran on this thing. Right? So it's nothing to say, well, they don't know. Right? So it's no. But what we need to know is, what are your solutions, and do you even have a solution? And then if you have a solution, how are we going to get there? Right? But we do these things and we say these things, and then it sounds good when a politician is running to put this stuff in the manifesto and say, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. But in actual fact, things that are happening are not affecting the little man on the street, right? In a positive manner, because they're getting affected. It's just not in a positive manner, right? Okay? Because as I said to you yesterday, and I'll reiterate this again, and as much as I can, I will, we have a wave of foreclosures coming in play, right? And these foreclosures on houses and stuff that are from people that have taken their pension money, most of them, and have gained properties and helped them gain their property. And now we're coming up to this stage where this is going to happen. And no one is really talking or saying this may happen or this may not happen. People are feeling it, right, in a drastic manner. What are we going to do to address the situation, right? Is what we actually need to talk about, right? We don't need to be talking about no single-use plastic and stuff. I need to know what you're going to do so that these Caymanians don't lose their houses. I need to know how we're going to make Cayman sustainable, right? I need to know what your plans are and those issues, what you're going to do with our children that come out of school, right? Where they're going to get a job from. What are we going to do to retain our Caymanians that do go to school, right? Okay, what are we going to do to retain them, to make them come back and find a job? Right? All of those things are things that we need to be talking about. Right? Not only talking, we need to be doing something about. Right? I said this to you before, Dwayne, and I don't know if I mentioned this on the show. Right? The the first sign of a failing island, country, or state, whatever you want to call it, right? Okay, is this: when you cannot take care of your young children, and you cannot take care of your elderly.
Yeah.
Okay. You're failing. If you cannot do those things, you're failing, right? And Sterling, it goes back again, and to prove that it's not only in the island. You know, how would you feel if you can't take care of children, or you can't take care of mom if you need help?
This is it, man.
Okay, so you would have failed, you know, right? Okay, so that's what government is supposed to do. They're there to do these things and put things in these places. Nobody's asking for any handouts. I don't think Caymanians, most of them don't ask for handouts, you know. They want opportunities, right? Opportunities and doors open, and not to get a fight every time you come out with an idea or come to do something. You don't need a door slammed in your face by the same people you put in there. That's the problem, right? Because that's what you get. As a Caymanian, what you get is you get a door slammed in your face by the same people, right, who's running the country and who is put there by Caymanians and who are Caymanians that are making all these laws. So, yeah, the lady was right saying that it's Caymanians' fault, right? And it's Caymanians' fault because Caymanians run the country and Caymanians make all the laws in this country. No foreigner can do that, right? So I'll leave you with that.
Hey, thank you, and always appreciate the candidates, man. Talk to you soon, all right?
Thanks.
All right. Let's take props to 2 final calls. Welcome, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon, Sterling. How are you?
Good afternoon, and I hope things are well, you know, from your vista.
Yeah, it's looking really lovely here. I'm on the State Bay Front Road, and we've got pretty nice weather here today, and maybe a few clouds moving in. Hopefully we may get some rain, but that's debatable. Anyways, I do have to say the previous caller, yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I want to thank him for calling in. And, you know, hold on a second. I think my phone just went to...
Yeah, props on the speaker like something. We can hear you still, though, but I appreciate that. And you're good? All right. The caller did say her phone just did something. So while that caller is able to possible to... We had a very knowledgeable individual share with us in relation to the time that U.S. gives. Says the time given by the U.S., you know, their customs and border control, their immigration and customs, whatever they call, is dependent, it says, on the type of the visa that you're entering the U.S. in. If it's an ESTA, it's usually 3 months. The non-immigrant visa is usually 6 months. Things are changing, you know, but they have a defined system that's seemingly consistent until it changes, and then they follow that new rule. Let's take this call. Hello?
Sorry about that.
That's fine. That's fine.
Cut you off through my Bluetooth.
No, that's fine. That's fine. We understand.
Anyways, basically what I was wanting to address is the fact that, you know, we're out here talking. What the gentleman said was true. You know, Caymanians are in charge and running the country. Well, not as many as our own generational Caymanians. There's quite a few of the new Caymanians now that are in charge, which, you know, that's going to happen because we've granted status to anyone who qualified and can get government jobs and can get into the government and can run things. So saying all of that, I want to address this today because I am just so tired of people coming to me and complaining to me about it up here in the BRAC. Civil servants, the low-hanging fruit ones, not the management ones. The ones that out there, the laborers, the general persons that work in the civil service, that have management above them and not in supervisory levels, the clerks, the officers, the executive, I guess the terminologies of the different classes of jobs within the government. Do you know that in the BRAC, they are paid a lot less for the exact same parallel job as their counterparts in Grand Cayman? Do you know that it's much more expensive for us to live here in Cayman BRAC? Or the cost of electricity is more than in Grand? We pay more. We do. We pay more for gas to put in our cars or diesel. We pay more for groceries. We pay more for freight and duties and things when we ship them in because it has to do a second shipping it up and one duty but a second shipment. And It costs more to live here overall. And our civil servants up here are not being paid the proper salaries that they should be paid. And I'm speaking for them today because I'm so tired of them telling me their stories and nobody seems to care. And when I look at the district administration's annual budget, I have to wonder if they are not trying to ask for more money. They need more money. More money should be put in their budget for them to give better salaries to their staff. There are people working here 30 years making almost the same pay, you know, never hardly met up any. And then they're advertised the same job up here that they're in, and it's $1,000 to $1,200 more than they're making. I have to wonder what is taking place, and I'm raising it, and I want them that it's in power to know that I'm raising it. I know they're going to be vindictive and come after me and victimize me, but Carrie don't care because I will give you the 15 minutes of fame you deserve. But when you have hard-working people out here laboring in this heat every day, that you have no contingency plan to deal with this and say, okay, come in 2 hours earlier in the morning, leave at 10, then come back like 3 in the afternoon and leave by 7 or 6:30 or something like that. So you're putting in your hours and you're not into the full brunt of the sun of the day with this heat, massive heat that we're having. Nobody is looking at that. And then I don't think people would mind as much if they were getting paid a proper salary externally. Mm-hmm. They're not getting paid a proper salary. It's not fair to them. They're the low-hanging fruit in the civil service here in the Brock, and they're getting paid peanuts compared to what their counterparts making grand. And they're in the same heat and doing the same job. So I don't understand why that is. And it's cheaper to live in Grand than it is to live in Kim and Brock. And they all knew that, but yet know this, but yet they still do not revamp the salary scales for the workers in Kim and Brock. And I'm sick and tired of it. I'm really sick and tired of it. Does it need to be a judicial review to throw the government into court to get these salaries pumped up for the Brock workers? Because they're not. It's hard on their families. And like that man said, there's another wave of mortgage foreclosures coming. And it's going to affect up here as well, regardless if you work for the government or not. And you're working, 5-6 days a week, it doesn't matter. It's the amount of pay that you're being paid, and you should not be paid this little bit of money. I mean, for example, I'm not going to say who the person is, but the job is up there on the government site right now advertising, and it has to do with a groundsman position. The person that's doing that job right now is making a whole heap less than what that position there is now being advertised new for another one. Mm-hmm. Now, why are we not bringing those salaries up for those individuals? If the new one that we're going to hire is going to be making more and doing the same job, then just bring that person's salary up to meet that. Mm-hmm. I don't understand the strategy behind it, Sterling. It's like the government and Kim and Brock, the district administration that governs the government up here in Kim and Brock, want to treat people like slaves, and that's unfair to them. Mm-hmm. These people work hard to make this country look good and make the government look good, and the big heads up in the district admin office, the management, and the head of everything look good, and they get paid peanuts for doing that? No, man, Mr. Franz, you need to deal with this now, sir. You really need to deal with this. Your civil servants up here, the low-hanging fruit, sir, are being abused financially by the government. Mm-hmm. Anyway, I gone. You have a good day.
You enjoy your afternoon, and we'll look forward to whenever you have a chance that you want to share another perspective. Thanks, right? All right. Well, in closing, let's share a couple of quick comments. It says on unbridled, unrestricted growth in work permits, coupled with poor human resource development of our locals, the crabs in the barrel mentality, the rapacious appetite for work permit revenues, the malleable politicians who will sell out their country for a bowl of porridge as they kowtow to developers and the kingmakers. It says hardly a bloody surprise that this disproportionately expatriate workforce is now the reality. That is from one of our, stalwarts who share their perspective. 949 837 949 6990. Of course, toll free at 1-800-534-8255. You use that to call, and even though it's just a Wednesday, make preparation to join Mr. Art come Friday morning for his, engaging, informative, very, very, very excellent presentation as he invites the listeners to be a part of our discussion. Now, a very informed listener says, in relation to the last caller, that the salary range, are going to be advertised higher these days because the salary bands were increased in 2022. And increasingly, we are getting to a place where we're not wholly, as sufficiently informed as immediately as we think or as much as we believe. Now, in the coming days and weeks, maybe we'll have these discussions, and I reflect on a few things that has been shared by some of our listeners in particular. And one, has to... You want us to take that call, sir? All right. Hey, you're in charge.
Hello.
Afternoon. Welcome.
Oh, can you hear me?
We can indeed. Welcome. Thank you for calling.
Okay, thank you. Just a quick comment.
Of course.
A thought came to mind. Maybe it's just a question. I feel that it should be something more for expatriate workers.
Mm-hmm.
It should be more than working in the Cayman Islands to get citizenship. I mean, just because you work in a country, I don't think that should take you on the road for an extended period of time, should take you on the road to citizenship. It should be something more than that. It's a precious thing to be part, to want to call yourself a Caymanian. And if you want, I know foreigners has this thing to say that, we built Cayman, and they don't know the Cayman history from the seafaring heritage. Go right up. And I think that's a slap in the face for Caymanians. I mean, I think Cayman actually contribute to the world. Cayman built the world, in some sense.
Yeah.
We hire people from all across the globe, and we built them up.
Yeah.
As small as we are, we built them up. You understand me? So I think the Cayman, to become Caymanian is a precious thing, and I don't care how long you work in the island, it should not guarantee you status.
Yeah.
I just feel that way. I mean, they come here and they go and they form in their own groups and their own communities. They have their own association, and they don't contribute anything.
Yeah.
I'll never hear of I'm going to say it, I never hear of a Jamaican non-profit organization that say, oh, I see a struggling Caymanian family. Let's see if we can pull together and build them a little small house. I never hear anything like that. Or from the Canadian side or the American side, they never comes out and go down in the dog cities, go down in the Scrantons, and see if we can contribute to Cayman in that way. They just come and they work and they get their money and they build a house in the Philippines, they build a house in Jamaica and wherever they want to build a home. And that they take and then they go about their business. I don't think that's contribution. I don't think that's building up Cayman. It should be something more, something deeper. When they talk about, they build up Cayman, I don't think that's building up Cayman. I think that's taken from Cayman. I think Cayman is actually building them up. So that just want to get that off my chest today.
Yeah, no, thank you. It kind of ties into what I was going to share, but I really appreciate you saying it. And enjoy the weather where you are, because from my perspective, it isn't always a nice place where you are, but hope you make the most of it, all right?
No, before I go, can I say one more last thing?
Of course.
I don't know if this is the correct way to think, but for those who are on the path to getting Cayman status, I think the Caymanians should have a say in who's getting this status. We should go down to the government administration building, be able to go down to the government administration building and see the picture of these people in the community. I mean, we work with them, we live by them, we probably go to church with them, and we should have a say. This would be a good, this person is a good citizen in the community right now and will continue to be a good citizen in many years to come and say whether they had contributed or not. I mean, some of these people are criminals, some of the people don't care, they're doing drugs, they're doing all kinds of stuff, and they're getting status. I mean, I think that with all this technology, put their picture on the internet if so be the case, and then we can decide whether they should get citizenship or not. You know, I think it's the government making this decision, but I think that the people on the ground who's living next door to them, to say that's a good person, that's a bad person, should have a say in who's getting citizenship in this country.
Yeah,
and for right now, as it stands in Cayman, it needs to be stopped.
Yeah.
No, we're in hot water right now. No more.
Well, the word that we talk about sustainability, right? So is this we use the word sustainability when it comes to environmental implications, but is this sustainable to grow at this pace? You know, some would have said that the country in the last 2 decades may have doubled its population 4 times over. All right. So statistics from the ESO as a result of the census data may be informative, but I'll be paying attention. I appreciate you sharing your perspective, though. All right.
Thank you. Yeah, just a quick thought. Thank you.
No, thank you, man, and share as we wish, and all the best to you. Enjoy your time. All right. All right. Closing, just a quick recap of, and I really appreciate this fine gentleman, giving us the absolute accurate information, and shared that in the U.S., as we're talking about the time extended, it depends on your type of visa. I'll just repeat it. If you're entering on an ESTA, it's 3 months. If it's a non-immigrant visa, it's 6 months. If it's a waiver, it's similar to the ESTA, which is 3 months. But if you're entering on a B1 or a B2 visa, then you can apply for an extension to remain longer while you're actually in the U.S., but you cannot do so if you're on a waiver, right? And it's always, to me, good to be informed. Listeners shares, just want to say to that gentleman that all those years he's speaking of now has minimal Caymanians anymore, and the few that left there only has a. Okay, maybe I'm not looking at that properly. I'll look at that better. We're in a special place in our history, and some of the sentiments that we'll express maybe later, given the hour, we'll hold it off for now. But someone's shared their thought for today being that, as we look at it, says resentment is like a weed. If you catch it early, it's much easier to get rid of. Ask an angel, they spent plenty of time, tending the gardens. That's their thought for today. Well, come back for more talk today tomorrow. Let's pick up where we are. Let's expand our thoughts. Let's ensure that as we work together, if this is where we call home, and this is where we're making a bread and is well buttered, perhaps we need to make it a better, safer, more, secure, stable, not just politically, not economically, but socially. We becoming a divided community based on age and ethnicity. Is it the economic and education classes that are being fostered upon us? Are we living behind gated communities? Are we looking at ourselves without any sense of a founded view, so that we are grounded in our sentiments? Do we believe that what is here today just existed, or did it come as a result of a strong commitment to make it a wonderful place? If you find yourself offended by the works and acts of your neighbor, is it that you are doing something to affront them, or is it that their actions are being unheeded? Let's figure it out. Let's figure it out together. Tomorrow, I'm prayerful that we'll be a part of it. Until then, be blessed.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. And Cayman Airways. Call them on 949-2311 to book your nonstop flights to Los Angeles and Panama. And Digicel.